Hi there, my name is Adam Oldfield and I'm the Managing Director and founder of Force24. I just wanted to take you through very quickly today some really simple, how easy it is to build on a data capture form on the Force24 website. We've got a few videos that are showing you very individual little bits of our platform. There's lots and lots to go at. There is also, once you've got the data capture form, there's another video that I'm going to show, which it should be down at the bottom that you can see, which is all about how to build a microsite and how to use those data capture forms. So for now, let's have a look at how to build a data capture point in the Force24 system. Drag and drop your way to success. Now, the first thing to do, remember, we're based in the UK. We're all about helping our customers. We have a 2-minute SLA on free training and support for life. So that's everybody in the business. 2 minutes, we're going to be on the phone, we're going to be on the chat, whatever it is, and we're going to be showing you if you're getting stuck or whatever it is. Now that gives us a 97% client retention rate, which is really powerful, really powerful. So let's have a look at the product and let's see if we can see why the people are loving the products as well as the support. So let's go ahead and log in. Okay, I'm logged in right now. Now, okay, just to remind you, this is filmed live, so if I make a mess of things, then just forgive me. I'll go back and I'll fix it, and it's not a problem. So, first things first, I'm in forms here. So we call data capture points forms, okay? No problem. So, the first thing I'm going to do is when I click forms, come into my existing forms. Now, what you got to remember is this is a demo account. So as you can see, we've got some really ugly looking stuff on here, but it's really just to test edge cases and weird things that you can do. So don't worry so much about that. What I've got though is I've got this account-based forms and I've got group-based forms. So if I'm a part of a parent business that are pushing me down content, I can say group, I can have a look at the forms that they've given me to use. But in this instance, I'm flying solo, I'm free as a bird, and I can do whatever I want as long as it's on brand. Okay, so I can use one of my existing forms, for example, or I can create a new form. So I can create a new form. When I create a form, I can go from one of my library forms. So any form that I create, I can save it in my library so I never have to create it again. Or I can upload a form. Now, if I know what I'm doing with HTML and I want to upload a form, that's fine, you upload it. And then it'll enable you to use the mapping and all the processes within our system. But I'm going to select a new form and I'm going to call it brochure download form new. Okay, so there we go, we've created it. Once we've created it, what the system's now doing is it directing me straight into the form builder, and it's now loaded me into the form builder in the canvas now in its blank mode. So you can see all I've got is the submit button on that form. Now I've got to the left, I've got my components. To the right, oops, that's not right. To the right, I've got the settings of those components. So I can rename this form here to whatever I want it to be, but I don't want to rename it, that's fine. Or I can edit the settings of the form. So the form itself may have settings like, what's the name of it, obviously. Is there a default font that we should use? Is there a default, what's the size of the padding? So let's give it some padding or margin. So let's say that's 50 points there and 50 points there. Now, working on the basis that I've done this before. You know, usually as a marketeer, we do stuff once, we save it, and we edit it. And it's an iterative process. I change the fields, but I'm showing you it right from scratch. So I don't want you to feel scared about this because you only do this once and then you save it and off you go. So, okay, let's drag on some components and I'm gonna get some text. There we go, I want headline text. I can say, this is how you download our brochure. Goodness me, sorry about that. Okay, this is how you download our brochure. I can then get some text below that, which is slightly lower. Oops. As you can see, I can drop the components anywhere on the screen. So I can make multi-column forms. I can do what I want. I can also change the font, the size, everything about these texts, but I'm not going to just yet. I'm just going to get my form built. Okay, so then what I can do is I can say, okay, let's ask for your name. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask for your name. Okay, let's go and say, call this your first name. Now, I know what you're thinking. This looks like any old form builder. No, it isn't. This is where it gets a little bit more clever. Okay, so I'm going to ask for first name in the label. But then what I'm going to do is I'm going to specify that we actually use your actual first name as a pre-built value. So I've got all my merge fields in here ready for me to call. I could pre-fill any part of your record. So I'm not asking you to give me the same information time and time and time again. And I actually don't even have to give you an input here. So I might say, actually, do you know what? Rather than asking you for your first name, I'm going to have it hard coded. So I can say in here, right, I'm going to put that there. I'm going to say first name. Oops. Tell you what, let's do it this way. So I'm going to put your first name right there in the form. And then I get rid of this and I don't ask you for your first name, I ask you for your last name, for argument's sake. And I get rid of that. And I go last, oops. Apologise. Here we go. At last name, there we go. Okay, so I've got the ability to change the fonts, as I've said before, the size, the borders, the backgrounds, the validation. I can say, is this value required? What's the minimum length that you'd expect? What's the maximum length? What's the format? Is it a date? Is it a URL? Should it be yes, no? Should it be a number? Should it be whatever? So if it's a phone number, I can ask for a phone number, but last name's obviously not a phone number, so I will go with none. But it is required. The minimum length is 1 character, and the maximum length is, I don't know, 50 characters. Who's got a last name longer than 50 characters? Sorry, I'm taking a drink. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, I've got your first name and I've got your last name. Now I want to drop your phone number on here. That's great there. And again, I'll pre-populate that with that phone, mobile phone. There we go. And I'm going to now ask you some questions. So I'm going to say, which is your favorite, cats or dogs? So I'll say cats or dogs. So just by selecting the object, I can start editing it. And this is really quite powerful now. So I can add as many options as I want. Now, I've got the display value and the value. So I could select, I like dogs, but rather than pushing the word cats into there, it might be that my Salesforce instance or my Microsoft Dynamics instance or whatever it is actually looking for the pre-selected value of 1. And for dogs, it's 2. So we can customize what that output from the form object is when it hits our database and then pushes through to your CRM. Okay, so I can decide whether I want to show the label or not. Now let's go ahead and let's put something in here which drops that there. So we've now created a 2-column approach, and you've got the single selection option which works in a very similar way. We've got the ability to have it vertical or horizontal. We can mess around with the padding and things like that to make that work. And what I can do is I can build out in exactly the same way, as many different options as I like. So I can, let me just delete that. I don't want to keep that on there. Delete that field, yeah, lovely. So I can build this form out. I've got date time functions, date, time, and date time. But I've also got hidden values. So sometimes in a field, in a form, I want to specify hidden values. And that hidden value is just saying perhaps the form name, or perhaps who built the form, or perhaps anything that I want to do as part of a hidden value. So that hidden value can get submitted behind the scenes. So that I've done my drop downs, multiple selections, very similar, numbers, date, time, as I said. So I drop on a date time option there, wonderful. And this will mean the user has to select the date and the time. Now, so I've built my form, let's say. Yeah, okay, if you want, I can go into the basics of things like the background color of the thing. I can change the border, I can give it a 1 pixel width, give it a solid with a radius of 6 points and a color. By the way, again, throughout our system, you're always selecting from things like branded colors. So I don't have to go to the basics of looking at colors through a color wheel. Yes, I can, but I don't want to because I've got my branded colors there. So once I've built my form, which takes seconds, I've then into a submission mapping process. And my submission mapping process is where I say, okay, that value in the form represents this value in the database. So what I can do is I can auto map. Hit auto map and it says, well, I recognize last name, phone number, date, time. It doesn't recognize list, I don't even know what was supposed to be, or hidden field. So here's what I do. I can either say, well, do you know what? I don't really want to map these. I'm happy for these to remain unmapped. I'll store them in the Force24 system, but I'm not going to push them through to CRM, so no point. I'll just store them. And I click ignore all. Or I say, well, do you know what? I'm going to stuff this into my auxiliary field 1, and I'm going to concatenate these two values, and I'm going to pull them in here. So I'm going to put list in here, and I'm going to put comma, and I'm going to put hidden field here. There we go. So now where it's cool is the list option actually allows me to split it as different fields, or show it as a single option if it's a multiple selection. So I've now mapped these to my corresponding Force24 fields. I save it. The form all of a sudden is ready for use. So that's really it. I've got, like I say, I've got the controls of how I want to size it up, what I want to put on there. I can put links in here. I can put the subscription preferences in here. Whatever I want to do, I can do it on my form, and it's easy peasy. And remember, free training and support for life says you get stuck, you can do it. But the big thing for us that we found is the fact that when you've got pre-populated data within your form, conversion rates go up. And that's big. That's what the name of the game is, getting those conversion rates up. The other thing that I need to point out as well about our form builder is the fact that sometimes I don't want to ask your name, your email, your this, your that. I don't have to. So it might be that actually I've already got your last name, your first name, your last name. It might be that I've already got your preference. No, actually, that's a good one. I'm going to keep your preference. I don't need your phone number. I've already got your phone number. All I need is your preference here on whether you like cats or dogs and what time you want to stroke a cat or a dog. So here, how's that? Now this is cool. So remember, the form context is submitted by the user's identification. So we have genius blocks in our microsites. That's cool. There's a different video all about microsites in a moment. Now, what those genius blocks do is they can switch in and out different blocks of content based on what we know about the user. So if we already know everything about you, we don't have to ask it. But if we don't, maybe we should ask it. So we build another form which asks for your name and your address, etc. But if we know all of that information, we just ignore it. We have the context as to who you are with our cookie tracking, so we can submit these values straight to your record without the user having to actually enter their details time and time and time again. So much more efficient. Anyway, we've got other videos that we're producing that are around the Journey Builder. We've got videos around Microsites Builder, as I've just said, with the Genius blocks, and then also drag and drop emails. There's loads to cover. This is just a snapshot of what you can do, what the product looks like. Super easy to use. Free training and support for life means 97% client retention rate. It's absolutely fantastic. So hopefully see you again soon. All the best.